I'm going to tell you a bit about my teenagehood. When I was a teenager, I really noticed this. I felt this acutely. This story might be familiar to a lot of people. See, I used to be one of those alternative kids, like grungy kind of alternative guy back in the 1990s, when most people were kind of just wearing Adidas or baggy trousers. There I was with my tight ripped jeans and my Nirvana t-shirt. And especially at some of the schools I went to, which were often very sporty schools, I really stood out. I wasn't one of the normal kids, put it that way. So yeah, like I got names, kids, when you're a kind of weirdo at school, you get names. People call you names like weirdo or freak. I mean, freak. It was my exonym. And did I have an endonym for that? Not really. A grunger, alternative kid, something like that. But yeah, kids basically classifying you as a freak or a weirdo, because there's the in-group and the out-group mentality, the us and them mentality. I quite liked for a while, I did have an endonym for a while. It was the word punk. I discovered this word. It's part of a music culture, an arts culture, a cultural movement even. It's a very fun word because it actually started as a negative. It had a general negative term, a negative meaning. It was American. It meant sort of bad person, or just like an asshole, like don't be a punk. But back in the 70s, when some kids started wearing smelly clothes and playing loud guitars in their garages in the 70s, they adopted this term to embrace their antisocial vibe. They took a term of abuse and they made it their endonym. And that's quite powerful. When you create an endonym based on a term of abuse, you're subverting it. And when I was a grunge kid or a punk back in the 90s, I got bullied quite a lot. And who was it who bullied me? It was usually those Adidas kids, the ones with the gold chains, the ones who listened to dance music and used loads of hair gel. And yeah, I had an exonym for them. I called them Chavs. Chav. Now, Chav, another interesting exonym, and one that much later I came to learn was quite problematic. In his book called Chavs, the Demonization of the Working Class, journalist Owen Jones writes about how terms like chav have been used to create negative stereotypes of the working class in Britain, making it easier for them to have their rights removed and to be demonized and delegitimized. It's an exonym, again going back to Matisov, an exonym that creates that in-group, out-group feel. An example of how exonyms are just a way of not just reflecting, but creating that us and them mentality, a wedge that can divide people, a way to attack political or social ideas. Exonyms can be very, very powerful. If you start creating in-groups and out-groups with these words, you can delegitimize people and demonize people very easily. And again, we come back to that urge that humans have to other outsiders, whether it's something frivolous like supporting a different football team, listening to the wrong kind of music, or how you pronounce GIF. It's GIF, not GIF, by the way, in case you were wondering. Or whether it's something much more weighty like nationality, race, gender, class, sexual orientation, sexual identity, how able-bodied you are, all of that stuff. People have that habit of using language to mark those who are in and those who are out. Another obvious example is the word gypsy, derogatively used to refer to the Roma people, most of them in Europe. This exonym, which is related to the word Egyptian, like Egypt, Egyptian, and it weirdly comes from this mistaken belief that Roma people all originated from Egypt, and the evidence they have to support this is the Old Testament of the Bible, and that's all. And yeah, this term gypsy is considered a racial slur by many Roma and is a go-to example of an exonym being offensive to the people it refers to, and in a way kind of creating an us and them mentality. We can see the same phenomenon with offensive exonyms like lap as in Lapland, to refer to the Sami people, Hottentot to refer to Koekoe people in South Africa, and Eskimo, which could refer to either the Inuit people or the Yupik people who originate from Siberia and Alaska. All of these terms are not just exonyms, but they're exonyms which have a very negative effect on the people who they're referring to. As we become more aware about how exonyms can be detrimental to how we see people, how we use them to other people, and in a way deny them from a sort of certain level of humanity, we start to stop using them, and in the process, yeah, we kind of stop being dicks, which is nice. I like that. Yeah, so, you know, the more aware we are about these exonyms and endonyms, which can have a detrimental effect and can be used to demonize people, the better prepared we are to, you know, stop using them. And finally, there are also cases when a group gets given an abusive exonym, a term that's used against them, but they just reclaim it. For example, the word queer used to be a term of abuse. It used to be a way of attacking people, but over time, the LGBTQ plus community adopted it, and now they're using it to refer to themselves quite happily, reclaiming an exonym and transforming it into an endonym. Much how we saw the way punk was subverted, and they took an exonym and subverted it and became their endonym. They reclaimed it.